Here we are, Versailles 1919. I'm going to roll a quick die, see who I'm going to make the first player. And that won't work. That one will. All right, so we will start with the Brits first. Let's start looking things over. I could go look here and try to make a decision, based on this pool of available things, of available strategies. I don't think there's a hell of a lot of value to that. The first thing that I look at when I take a look at these is, look, if I put something on one of these, it's important to me right away. Let's look for really dangerous to happiness. It's early in the game. Issues that we grab may not stick around, but making sure that we don't have our happiness decreased is of some significant value. Now, two of these take happiness are bad for happiness for the Brits. We look over here, and there's a couple more that are bad for happiness for the Brits. This one is particularly interesting because it comes with a naval action. Now, I can put as many cubes as I want on, but whatever I put in is just going to get overbid by anyone else, and that ties my cubes down. One cube, if I have to withdraw, because the cubes that go into here are rounded down if you don't win, is fairly safe. So I'm going to take my action to drop a couple of cubes here. Let me get the rule book. This could be useful. Maybe I'll keep this in instead, but let me have the rule book around. So I placed an influence, and now I could throw some troops in. I don't want to do that because I don't have any issues. I don't have anything to protect. No reason to do that. So those are my two actions, and this kicks down to the French now. Okay, same kind of decision with the French. What are they worried about? What are they not? Both of these are painful. This one is exceptionally so, but the Brits have a cube in there. And I see the Brits don't want to do the same thing I don't want to do. I'm cool with that. Let's look around. Not interested. Interested in this one? And let's put it in the league voting as well. And again, it just moves on. Really, really fast play. Over to Italy. What's Italy interested in? Well, they're on their own on this, but would be fighting against maybe three players. So, not a great choice, but nothing else is. So I'm going to put two cubes on each of these. Push it to the US. Again, we're not playing around with military. There's just no reason yet. Okay, the U.S. takes a look. Uh-oh. Italy's interested in that, but France already has some. Over here, the Brits are interested in something I'm not interested in. They're gonna pick the yes here on reparations, whereas I'd like to pick no. But France is more interested in that, even though they bailed on it. Other choices. This is of interest to me. Don't know which way it'll go. And again, you can see I have to up the ante on other people. So I'll put two there, and I'll put two there. Shift down. Brits. Okay, first thing that I look at, Brits don't give a shit. They don't want to resolve an issue for their own gain yet. I don't know where I'm going to put these, because I'm going to need space over here. I know that. But maybe I do want to resolve an issue. Okay, I don't want to resolve this one because it'll go against me. I don't want to resolve this one because it'll go against me. Very good. So I got to pick two issues always. So I'll put two on this. And I'm already committed here. I'll put two there. You can see how simple the bidding is and everything. This reminds me a little bit of another Mark Herman design in terms of still being good, even though the actual play is really simple for most of the game, which is Fort Sumter, which somehow works. I've seen a number of other, and I have one of them down here, but there's a number of other CDGs that are like really minimalist. 1955 is the worst of the lot, but 13 Days was as well. Just too light, not enough going on. It felt like everything was a counter to the other player. The simple fact that this is 4 players, though, makes it a little bit more interesting, and there's other mechanisms that shake things up. I don't know how he made Fort Sumter work. Anyway, on to the Frenchies. If I commit this, the Brits will do what I want to do. But the alternative is I can throw bids in on things. It's a hard call, man. It's a hard call. Because I care about this a lot. But I don't get the issue if I play it there. And what happens? Well, the Italians, who I keep thinking are Japanese, I don't know why, because Italians should be green. Japanese probably shouldn't be yellow. I don't know what color Japanese should be. Like China to me is yellow. Yeah, see, I'm going to lose control of this if I don't play it. And I don't want this to fall particularly, do I? And then what's my other one? My other one's over there. It doesn't matter too much. This is only a 1-pointer. It's not that big a deal. If I knew, about these, if I had my strategy picked, it would make sense. Let's play for cards. But let's make it cheap. Let's go there. Onward. Okay, to the Italians. The Italians are behind in both of theirs. Now, the obvious is just throw into here. Do that. Keep going for the Brits? Sure. Smyrna looks important to me. U.S. U.S. is behind in a couple of theirs. In there. Up here to Belarus. Brits. Behind everywhere. Do I want to commit something? This would be bad. I'd lose this. Of course, I'd get a couple of my chits back. And it wouldn't hurt me. Like, it wouldn't. I'd get a couple of my things back, and this isn't as bad for me as it is for France. But it's a valuable card. So we just keep playing. And this is the cheapest commitment I have, and it's the one I chose to play before. France. Give this up. I don't know. It's so early in the game that it's really hard to make any kind of decision right now. Or I could play for, I'll play for one of those. I could play for both of those. This one I go for. Fuck it. I don't care about this. We'll go up in these two. Directly challenging the U.S. across the board. Italy has one. We'll play it. Okay. So we took the thing. France loses half. Italy loses the whole pile. Gotta think. Powder keg. Exhaust and influence to either add unrest to the Balkans or Europe. Neither one really matters. All right, let's look at the order here. Award issue. We have to actually resolve it, which means the Italians are going to pick one state, one vote. No vetoes, and that means the effects take place. The US, France, and Britain all lose a happiness. This isn't a locational based one, so no particular interest in putting military into play. Cubes are beginning to appear here. That opens up more options that I need to do. Next thing I have to do is this. Add or remove an unrest from the Middle East. Let's look at the Middle East. I'm going to remove one. I can't actually do that, but that's okay. This gets discarded. Now, if this deck runs out, it gets reshuffled and they go in there. Now I advance issues and an event. So I could advance this, but then the Brits would get a chance to complete it. So let's look at these others. The US is going to put in one of these two, probably in the anti-French one. That doesn't hurt me. Over here doesn't hurt me. Anti-France, anti-British, I don't really care. I don't really care about these points here. Let's move this down. Not for any great reason. We take a look at these. Exhaust and influence to play with Balkans or Europe. I'm interested in Middle East there. Add a powder keg to the Middle East. See, if I take one of these, I get a cube on it. I'm going to put this one because I don't care about it at all. Now, I get to add an issue to the waiting room. I look at this one. That looks fine. Let's put that up. I got no harm for that. Now there's nothing available there. And finally I draw this, and it's an uprising check. Every single thing would have to make a check, but they all are at X. They can't possibly fail. And we're up to the US again. What does the US do? And I think I'm going to be playing most of the game, going through most of the actions, because there's nothing really to look at and show except for the activity. It's like a Euro that way. We're behind here, so we probably don't want to advance anything. What happens if the Brits win? That's not good for me. We're in challenge over there, though, too. We don't really care too much about this. I could advance this and get a cube, but that doesn't seem too terribly good. So I'll put 2 here on indemnities, and I will put 1 over here for that. No military because I don't care. Brits, behind, no biggie. Don't want this to happen. Like, we're not willing to trigger it. Let the French do that if they want to. I don't care that much about this. Would I rather get my 3 cubes back at this point? I've committed a lot to this, and it might be my best answer at this point. I'm ahead on this, so I could push that forward, force the Italians to have a choice. Let's do it. This comes down. The US has control of the indemnities. What do they want to do with it? Well, they want to do a no, which puts an industrial on this card. And the French lose 2, the Brits lose 1. All of these go in there. The US gains the card, but this is the British turn, So now they get to do this. Exhaust an influence to add an unrest to Balkans or Europe. Don't think I want to. It's an optional. And now I get to advance things. I'll advance this forward, like I said. And then over here, anything interesting? That's a Middle East. Spend 1 influence to add a powder keg in the Middle East. I'm going to take this because it's likely I'm going to be, well, it looks like I have a shot at the Middle East, and I'd like control of this. I had to place an had the option to place an influence to keep control. Now I get my card draws for the issues. I have to take 2. Okay. This one gives me happiness, lots of happiness. This one gives disadvantages. We'll put this one up. And then this. Uprising check +1 to die roll. Still all at X's. Not going to happen. Come down another one. The French can resolve one and succeed. I've got the advantage over there, so I can pull that down. Sounds good to me. That's going to be a European piece. I am going to commit an army for free to Europe. The Americans have that happen. All these go in. The French have this. What do they want to do? British unhappiness seems like a cool idea. The only problem with it is all the unrest this creates in Europe, but whatever. So, we piss the Brits off a little bit more. 2 of these. We get 1 of these cards. This takes place. I could add a powder keg in the Middle East with the Brits. That would push the unrest situation up. I'm going to choose not to. This gets exhausted. It's still optional. And now the French get to choose what to pull up. This is easier with both hands. Without the camera. We'll take that. And the French, very interested in Europe. Balkans. Add a subtracted die roll for each Bolshevik strategy token. There aren't any even available. Each player ending with you moves a deployed military unit to exhausted. This is not optional. There's almost no reason to put your cube on this. It still has one because it has an ordering in it. As the only person with military in the game, I'll play that. What do I want? I'm going to just take this for free because it costs 0 and then draw 1. Remove 1 unrest from region of issue being settled. The issue being settled was here. Europe has an unrest in it. So that comes down. Who is that? Smuts. Excellent. This goes here. How much does Italy care? Look, this is a 2-point swing. Italy cares. And it's a 5-point issue too, but what else does Italy care about? This, but other people care too. Let's go for it anyway, I think. We'll just put 1 in. Not dropping any military. Just goes up here. And I got Raid playing by itself. Gonna take a little break here. Let me put the die that we haven't used all the way up there. Down here, it's like Friday, 2 or 3 a.m. I slept for a few hours in order to pause to get to Raid, but now I've got it playing itself. One thing about this game is that Churchill had really, I don't remember Pericles that well, but Churchill had very nice delineated spaces where you could stop that were, you know, for videos, especially for me, which was if you hit, when you hit the end of a given conference. So you had some nice segmenting. In this game, there isn't any. The only thing there is coming up soon, we're going to have the strategy card selection. And, maybe I stop there and load this one up, but then it becomes really hard. And just sort of these random breakpoints. All right, let's take a look at the U.S. and see what they want to do. Their current position is, they're behind here. Do they care? Yeah, the French are probably going to screw them. Got a lot of cubes in there. But what I think I'm going to do is drop 2 there, 1 there, pass it on. The Brits. We don't have the lead. 2, 3, 4, 5. How much do we care? Italy will want this. We go and we talk to Italy. Look, I'll promote this in order to get my cubes back, which I won't get if you do it, to give me a little bit more control over what the hell's going on. Because while I care about this, I do care about that, though. Yeah, but I can prevent this from going up. Yeah, I think I want to get my cubes back. So if you pick the first option, I will promote it. And of course, Italy is perfectly fine with that. They're completely willing to agree to that. That's what they'd want to do anyway at this point. Now, what Britain might want is this with a British fleet, because that's where the victory point. These go in. These go in. This becomes Italian. The Italians made an agreement to do this, so that is what they must do. And that will give them a point of happiness, happiest country in the world. But the Balkans and the Mediterranean, or the Mideast, both go there. They get their second card already. Now the Brits have to deal with the event. Uprising, check the Balkans. Add or subtract 1 to the die roll for each Bolshevik marker. There aren't any on the board. Could have been one here. Let me put this here so that I can roll the die quieter. I don't mind with the small dice, but these heavy guys. And what did I say? Balkans. We take a look at the Balkans. It's an X. No problem. This card also goes away. I don't like that I have this here. I was storing the cards down here on my last play. They do get reshuffled if that's the case. And now I get my choices. This one's not a terrible one. Italy will probably pick the thing we like if they choose it, so we'll promote that. Because this one, no real reason. And then I get to select one of these. Choose a player, the add African unrest. Each player ending with U makes a deployed military unit to exhausted. I don't have any deployed military units. I'm just going to put this here. I am not going to put a cube on this. I don't think the advantage of being the last person to choose out of that is of any value whatsoever. I must take from the top. And what do we got? We got a lot of unhappiness for other players, a lot of unhappiness for other players. Now, this one has the possibility of a British Empire marker. This one has only the possibility of a French. I'm going to actually promote this one. I like them both. Either one would be fine. And then finally, we flip this over. There's an uprising check. We look for the highest. The highest is the Mideast. That's a 6. Nobody's got any modifiers to it. If we roll a 6, it happens. It does not. And if it did happen, one of those would come in. Even if nobody had anything in the Mideast, that could be pushed into unrest. The French. Behind here, not ahead anywhere. Got some cubes. Already committed in Europe. This is not bad. I think I kind of care about this. And I think I kind of care about that. And we push forward. The Italians. I get an issue. It's a good thing to get issues. Might as well take the points. What do I want to choose? Interesting question. Britain gets an advantage on everybody, but the U.S. gets a major disadvantage for this debt. There's a couple of factories. There's a couple of things that have factories. I'm gonna take the thing that helps people with the debt, which is to forgive it. Forget about it. Okay. And that means Britain gets 2. France gets 1. Italy gets 1. And the U.S. loses 2 on the happiness chart. We go over here. Nobody picked this. Each player ending with you makes a deployed military unit exhausted. Only one deployed military unit exists, and that's this French one. So it goes into the pool. Henry Cabot Lodge goes away. I get my calls here. I don't care about any of these. If I play either one of these, the U.S. will probably just fire them off. Although this may be more important to them. Do I want another one just fired off? Not particularly. Let's pull this down. And then over here I get a choice. They either decrease the happiness, I don't care. Check uprising in the Balkan. If no uprising, add an unrest. I'm not in the Balkans. Nobody is. Nobody's in Africa. I don't want control over Africa. I don't know. I do know that Italy has interests in the Balkans. They have almost none in Italy except for Ethiopia. I look here. This is not a bad card. In it goes. Don't want to draw 2 and, get one I don't like. Uprising check, -1 to the die roll. This is a 6. I would need a 7 to get it. There's nobody who can add to it or whatever. So I'm not even going to check. Back up to the U.S. No control. Here's the problem. I can't play in here because I would need to put 1 cube in here and 1 somewhere else because I have to be on 2 issues and I wouldn't get control of it. So I don't have the opportunity to play there. I could push this forward and get 2 of my cubes back, but instead I'm going to grab 6 of my cubes for that. Now I could deploy military. Where am I? I don't care about it. So we go down, and the Brits are up next. Nobody is taking this as a deciding factor for where they want to put their points. The Brits have a reasonable amount of cubes available. They don't care about either of these issues. The French are in command in both, which is, they're kind of going to be able to pack some points away because of that. But I damn well care about this, and I kind of care about this because I would like to get Togoland the Imperial marker, because if I control that issue, that's an extra victory point. Not interested in playing any military. The French. All right. Well, I lost control of this, but I think I want to take that. White is not in the lead. I fucked something up. Britain should have a couple more cubes. They had 5 cubes on there. and I played them as if they were not the one picking it. They get all their cubes back. I fucked that up. Just not thinking too carefully. Glad I caught it. Okay. And all the French ones go in, though. The French control the Baltic states. What do they want to do? Well, they don't want this. Making someone unhappy seems like a good idea. Oh, it is. So we'll put one. We'll put the Polish. That creates a factory. That creates a U.S. unhappiness, and that creates take one of these away from Europe. And I'm able to do that because the powder kegs haven't moved forward. Open. I either decrease happiness by 1 or add 2 unrest to Africa. I don't care about Africa, so fuck them. Okay. I get to promote something. Really don't want this one up there. The neat thing about this one, although I don't necessarily want it up there, is that Britain and the US may fight over it. The US has more cubes, and they're aligned with our preferred solution. I look here, add or remove an unrest in the Middle East. I mean, that's not bad. Do I want to put a cube for that is the question. Or an uprising in the Balkans. I'm just going to push this here because I don't care too much about the Middle East yet. I'm going to just leave it there. Have to draw. Ewy. Not so ewy. Okay. And then finally, just an uprising check. We take a look. 2 are in possibility here. So for the Mideast on a 6, we have one in the Mideast. Okay. That'll be done next. But now we take a look for the Middle East. And we have just Smyrna. So Smyrna gets pushed forward. It is no longer controlled by Italy, but Italy has first bid on it. Now, Italy has military. These will be worth 1 each if I want to bid them. How important is Smyrna? When you reallocate this, it's going to trigger all the events again. So this is important to me. And I'm looking at other now, any military I put in here on this is going to cost me an unhappiness. I'm looking at this as this is really important to me right now. The problem is, if I have the most victory points, I'm the guy who's in last place in terms of picking. And that's a reason not to be too committed to it. If nobody plays this, it goes back in the discard pile. It's available still, but someone will go for it. Do I want to hold off on this? Is it worth it? It's a hard call. I'm not too interested in other things. I think it's worth a cube. Now these cubes automatically come back if you don't bid on them, and so do the military. The U.S., does the U.S. care? The U.S. gives almost no shits about this except maybe the boat here, plus the issue. But that issue would give me last place in terms of picking one of those. So now what's not clear is if Africa, I think we check Africa. Let me see how this is worded. Strategy cards. During setup number. See, the question I have is, Do we check immediately after the Mideast is resolved, or do we do the Africa resolution first? It feels like at the conclusion of the first uprisings, there's an S at the end of that. I think I conclude the African one as well. Okay. Just wanted to make sure of that because Africa is not going to change where anything lands. But anyway. Okay. I don't think the U.S. is interested enough in this to bid on it. The U.K. is, though. Could drop a military in it. Feel like this is worth more. The French don't care. Back to the Italians. Here's the thing. What's the ordering between us? Because it might be worth me throwing something in. Okay, so I would get an, because, no, he's active player, so he beats me out. So I would get the last choice regardless of whether I go for this. I've put enough in. There we go. Now I don't have to pay my unhappiness. Brits are not willing to pay that price. They withdraw. So Italy pays an unhappiness, and these two get dropped there. Smyrna switches over, and I take this effect. I get a happiness back, and a Baltic and two, or a Balkan and two Mideast go up. We do Africa. Oh, forgot something. Hold on. This doesn't happen yet. This goes here, this drops back, and then the two Mideast. Okay. Got to be careful about the order. I do have to check Africa, even though nobody's got an African card, because on a 6 it would have caused some shit to happen, powder keg and whatnot. Now we get to make our choices. Britain has the least points. Here's the thing. It's not obvious what's worth anything. But what is possible is to look. There's some industry here, industry there, industry there. There's a lot of points for the factories already. So I'm looking at global trade being potentially advantageous and this one being potentially advantageous. But there's two others that are of great interest to me. These guys, which give British fleets a bonus. Getting those British fleets out is good for me, and I can kind of double dip on the points if I have these. But if other people have these, they'll want to do what I want them to do, and they'll be maybe less upset about, you know, me controlling an issue if I've got a British fleet on it, because they're getting a point off of it. Because of all of this, I'm going to go with global trade for the Brits. And put that up here. Second lowest is the US. Now let me just check global trade, because global trade has something interesting. They do not want reparations paid, and they want low amounts of unrest, and they want happiness. Those are kind of in conflict with each other. But the 2 points per industrialization, with all these industrialization shits out, seems appealing. This one gives you points for each military that anybody has on the board. There's a real strong incentive to start demobilizing military. I don't really like this. It means that You probably want to not demobilize your military as much, and my happiness is relatively low. I don't like this. I feel like unrest is likely to go high. This is really heavy on military. I'm tempted to contain communism with the U.S. Okay. We'll put their little flag on there. I like keeping these near the players. You can make an argument it's easier, to be able to assess everybody's desires if it's in one place. I don't know. Okay. The French are the current players, so they get the next choice. These aren't easy choices, man. So this one, yeah, I don't like this. This one, every empire marker is a bonus. I have empire markers that I'm going to want to get out. Could be more militaristic, or I don't like any of these terribly well. This also has any empire marker. I'm going to go with this one because it has less of a reliance on the military. And finally, the Italians get to go. There are no Japanese. This is kind of against my interest. I want Italian happiness to be high. So we're going to outlaw war as our goal. And this just goes away. It has no effect. There's no chance of it shifting around or anything like that. We did everything there. This shifts over here. And like I said, this is the one place I kind of knew when to stop. So I am going to stop here. It gives you an idea of a number of the facets in the game. The one thing that we haven't seen is decision making being influenced by these strategy cards. And you could play a deeper game. So like Britain, who had nothing, could have decided on their strategy card a little earlier and been making choices based on that. I don't know if it's that terrible that Italy had to choose last. Their card isn't that bad. Their other option would have been this extra card would have been the extra thing that they would have had. To me, I kind of like this one better with the factory and whatnot, but whatever. All right, gonna load this up then.